Hi, I'm Aiden, this is Grookey, and you're watching the Blue Gray Flowers channel. It is currently Friday, and on Monday I had my wisdom teeth removed. I've only regained the ability to actually open my mouth today. Fun fact. I actually have some lighting in this video. It's a very small lamp, but improvements are improvements. Um, Today I would like to talk about the book series um, that I think is technically called the John Cleaver series, but I've been calling it I Am Not a Serial Killer by Dan Wells. I've only read the first three books, and there's like six books in the series. Hang on. There's like six books in the series. However, my library doesn't have all of them, so I only read the first three. But I liked them. I want to talk about them. This is another off the cuff thing, like I did the Glass Onion. Um, like I've done all of my videos. I haven't really had a proper script for any of them, but the I Am Not a Serial Killer books kind of enchanted me. I don't know. I really liked them, even though while I was reading, I was like, I don't think this is the best book ever. However, that doesn't stop me from liking it. Some backstory into why I discovered the series. Um, I started watching Dexter, like Dexter, the serial killer TV show. Because just a ton of people had mentioned it. It turns out my dad's a massive fan. I started watching it. I speed ran like a season and a half in, and then I had surgery, so I haven't watched any more episodes. But dang, smiled too wide. Dang, I like that show. I'm having a lot of fun. The appeal of a serial killer who is masquerading as a normal person. I don't know. It's something and it appeals to me. Do I recognize of my like? I need to caveat this. Sorry, guys. Caveat time. I do not condone the actions of serial killers. I'm laughing because it feels ridiculous to say, but I do see why some of the fandom is like Dexter Morgan is so autistic, because I do see pieces of my autism and in him, mainly the parts where I'm like trying to act like everybody else, but I feel like I can't read what's going on in their heads, and it feels like they all have mind reading. Um, there's a post on Tumblr that I saw that was like, I like Dexter Morgan because I can be like, oh, I'm autistic too, but I didn't do all that. I like that post. I think it's funny, but this isn't about Dexter. It could be about Dexter. It's not about Dexter. So I found out that Dexter is based roughly on, or the first season of Dexter is roughly based on the first book, Darkly Dreaming Dexter, by one moment. It's by a guy. I know that much. I'm pretty sure he's an ex-cop. Okay, by Jeff Lindsay. Sorry, Jeff Lindsay. I fully forgot who you were. I read the book. I don't read for the author. I read for the book content. But so I read the first book. I'm still on hold for the second. It's very tragic. I desperately want to read the next one. The differences are stark, and I do think that the Dexter in the show is a better killer. Like, he's better at being a serial killer. Like, it just very much reads as like, no, his plans are more thought out. Also, there's a lot more child molesters in the book. Like, I'm pretty sure everybody that he like goes after is some sort of child predator, which is not so in the show. And honestly, I don't know how I feel about that change. I feel like, sorry, let me adjust this camera. I feel like that was a change. Certainly, I don't think it's necessarily good or bad. I just think it shows. I feel like it shows something about Jeff Lindsay. Dexter would be a better series. I already like it. I think it'd be a better series if the writers were ACAB. but this isn't about Dexter, but I've rambled about it because I'm hyperfixated. Um, I'm Not a Serial Killer follows the the main character, John Wayne Cleaver, who has a very serial killer name, and his father is named Sam, so he's the son of Sam, which is another serial killer. Um, John Wayne Cleaver, full name, he is obsessed with serial killers. How shocking. And he has conduct disorder, which is like precursor to diagnostic for sociopathy. I'm not editing this. Sorry. Okay, so he's a killer, or rather he is not a killer, but he shows a lot of the predilections, like a low empathy, pyromania. He wants to harm animals, so he has rules, and a therapist. The therapist doesn't last very long. Spoilers. I'm going to spoil this. I'm going to spoil this immensely. This is a book discussion. I'm going to spoil the book. If you don't want spoilers, click off now. If you do want spoilers because you don't plan on reading it, or are like me and enjoy spoilers and they make you want to read more, keep watching. So initially John Wayne is just John's very excited because there is a serial killer in town and he wants to investigate the bodies, and his mother and her sister run the mortuary, which he helps at. So he gets to do mortuary stuff, and I think that was actually a really smart idea for having John like be involved with cases. Like, yeah, he's 15. He's very much 15 and then later 16. He's really 16. And I'm older than him now, which is satisfying. But so he does have access to the bodies in most cases. He does get them off after the coroner, but he gets to investigate the body and he does actually get to learn about it. And I think that it's really interesting to see this guy who, for all his like low empathy, he can be quite sympathetic to other people, in the sense that he's like, oh dang, it'd be really annoying or upsetting if that person was upset. I should try to avoid upsetting them. And I enjoyed reading from his perspective. I can't stop laughing. He's very much a teenage boy, but it's really, really funny, some of the ways that he interacts with teenage boydom. So I don't want to imply that asexuality is connected with serial killers. Sorry, but he reads as like very weird about attraction to me, and I enjoy that. I enjoy reading characters who are like quote unquote weird about attraction, who read as somewhat aromantic, asexual, or just like averse to the romance, or in general, that's aromantic, whatever. I think that's really interesting. I think that more stories should explore the idea of like not wanting that, because it is something that people experience, and it's like I feel like we could have more stories, and I feel like I should have other options other than this 16-year-old serial killer. He's not a serial killer. He has rules to stop him from being one, to stop it from progressing. Anyway, a twist that I wasn't expecting from the book, because I don't believe it was tagged on the Libby app, which I read it on. Supernatural was not tagged, nor was any sort of magic or whatever, but it turns out that the killer that is in his hometown is a demon slash god slash ancient spirit thing. It's not really explained in any of the books that I've read, though it is established that there are multiple, and John gets a little bit addicted to getting rid of them. It's kind of fun, honestly. I kind of really enjoy it. It's a guilty pleasure book, because I feel like if I took a step back or reread them with a more critical mind that wasn't on Vicodin and then Advil for surgery reasons, I feel like I could reread it and be like, oh, that prose is a little choppy. I feel like this could have been better plotted, like the pacing, blah blah blah. But honestly, I just had a lot of fun reading them. It's I am not a serial killer, Mr. Monster, which is the very stereotypical name he has for like the what he has dubbed the voice in his head that makes him have these violent urges. Though it is very much, I feel like we're supposed to read it as very much just a part of him that he has compartmentalized so that he feels better about it. And then book 3 is oh dang, hang on one second. Sorry. Book 3 is I Don't Want to Kill You. They're kind of dramatic names, but I feel like the Dexter series has more ridiculous names, like Darkly Dreaming Dexter, um, Dearly Devoted Dexter. It's goofier names. I won't. You can't judge you can't judge a book by its cover or its title, but you can glean a little bit about it. So the reason I found I'm Not a Serial Killer is because I was looking for more stuff like the Dexter books, and it was recommended on a Reddit post. I'm not a habitual Redditor, but I look on there sometimes if I'm looking for something that is like something else, because similar tags on Libby don't actually do that much to find books that are actually similar. It typically just shows you books by the same author or like other popular authors in the genre rather than things that are similar to the style or energy of the book. Anyway, back to plot recap. Sorry this is such a mess. As I said, this is off the cuff, and well, I can't blame being on drugs anymore. The Advil wore off. Oh well. Okay, so the Cleaton serial killer is going around stealing organs and limbs and stuff, and John finds out that it's his old neighbor who, as in an older gentleman, he's this old man who is stealing organs so that he can revitalize himself, so that he can spend more time with his wife. In terms of motivations, that's not the worst, but dude, you have killed like 5, 7 more people. We can't forgive you for that, man. So so John finds out, he starts stalking Mr. His name is Mr. Crowley, which is Crowley, like the guy from Good Omens. Um I don't want to talk about Neil Gaiman. But it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny that his name is a demon's name. Like, we should have seen it coming. So, John starts stalking him, and he does eventually end up killing him. Not until after his therapist, amongst others, have been killed, including his technically best friend's dad. And John watched, and he was like, "My bad. I didn't act soon enough." That's one thing I like, is that John has like this one friend, and in later books he talks to other people. And as someone who like recently got out of high school, yeah, that's how high schoolers act. That good job on that, Dan Wells. But so he ends up killing Mr. Crowley, and learns that he's a demon. He turns into black sludge after being killed, and he's like, "Are there more?" Because one point about his character is that he's very obsessed with killing, obsessed with death. Of like, he wants to kill, frankly. And he has like, he can't officially be diagnosed with sociopathy until he's 18, but he has like the label that they give to people that they can't diagnose with sociopathy, but they're pretty much like on that sociopath ledge. I'm not the most well educated in terms of psychology. I'm not really gonna touch on that. Could this be read as insensitive to people with those disorders? Yeah, maybe, but it was a fun book, and he is like a somewhat sympathetic protagonist, a la Dexter, in the sense of like, people with low media literacy are like, yeah, I agree with this guy. He's great. And people with middle to higher media literacy are like, I can enjoy this character and disagree with his motivations. Yada yada yada. Um So he kills Mr. Crowley. He did assault his wife in the sense that he beat her up a little bit so that he could freak out the demon. His mom learns that there are demons. It's great. It's great. So Mr. Monster starts, and John is very antsy. He has a little bit of a girlfriend. Um, I really did not. At first, I really did not enjoy the romance plot, but I grew to appreciate it. No, like I can see how that's important, and he does have like some attachment, but his attachment is very different than other people's. And then when the FBI agent that turns out to be a demon kidnaps him and turns out to be siphoning emotions off of other people in the sense that he cannot feel emotion by himself and can only reflect the emotions of people around him. He gets kidnapped to this guy's murder house, stays there for 2 days, um, gets locked in a pit. Like, there is an actual case that it reminded me a lot. I did have a true crime phase, though I do now disagree with the morality of a lot of like true crime media. But I remember while I was in the phase, I remember the case of like that guy that kept women chained in his basement and had like that pit full of water that he could electrocute them in. John's put in one of those, and barrels and planks are put on top of him so he can't even like sit up. It's kind of freaky. Some women, a woman, two women dies. His sister's abusive boyfriend is there, and Foreman is like, "Kill him, John. I know you want to," and John's like, "No, I won't." And it's very like it's giving very like given to the dark side, and it was kind of really funny. I had a bit of a laugh at it. Like it was a very tense scene. But sometimes with tense, like scenes that are supposed to be tense and dramatic, like that one in that one, the X-Men movie where like Magneto puts the coin through his head, I could not stop cracking up. I'm sorry, that was really funny. Like, when it becomes when they just like fail at tension, or not even fail at tension, like it is tense. I just have a bad reaction to it because it's like that's kind of really ridiculous. Like you have this massive man chained up, and you have this six. He's 15 at this time, and Foreman, this supposed FBI agent is like, "Kill him, John. I know you want to. It'll be worth it." And it's very much like Dexter motivations. Like he's already a bad guy. Um, and I can't remember exactly how John reacts, but I'm pretty sure he does the equivalent of like tossing the knife and being like, "No, I won't become like you, Dad." Foreman is not his father. His father is a bad person who has not appeared, and John has massive daddy issues. Um, so, John burns down the house after Foreman kidnaps his kind of girlfriend, and is like, "John, kill her." For a moment, it looks as though he is going to kill Brooke, but we know from his head that he, like, only considered it for a second, but ultimately was always going to defeat Foreman because he does feel a sense of, like, morality that he needs to defeat these demons. So he does end up killing Foreman and evacuating all the prisoners out of the house, including his sister's abusive boyfriend. There's a woman trapped in the wall. One of the things that like most got to me, like these books don't really get to me. I've never had a moment where I was like, "Oh, that's so scary," because it's supernatural, and I have a very moment of like, that can't happen. That's not real. Even though serial killers and the like are real, but like, there's a certain level of like dissonance in the sense of like, I don't think this could actually happen. But the one imagery that in the series that did get to me was this idea of Foreman having his little torture room because he enjoys feeling the emotions of people who are like afraid or angry. So he had a little torture room. So he had a torture room where like he could hung up someone and torture them, and then he had a woman trapped in the wall. Just just a woman in the wall, and there are eye holes so she can see, and she's hooked up to Ivy and stuff. She's immobile. She's immobilized in the wall. And she just has to watch that happen, and then he gets two meals for the price of one. That's so messed up. That's so messed up. That's like the one thing in this series that actually like got me, and had me like, "Oh, that's a little sickening." Um, And then, so with Foreman defeated, John Cleaver has become the hero. It's really, really funny because, like, the cops know roughly that he's involved in these things, but they don't know about the demons. So they're just like, John Cleaver, why do you keep being involved in these, like, serial killers that are coming to our small county of Clayton in North Dakota? And he's like, oh, luck. And then, so I really enjoyed I Am Not a Serial Killer. I liked Mr. Monster, and it had the moment that I was most like, whoa, that's like effective imagery. But then I didn't like I Am Not Here to Kill You, if that's its name. Don't correct me. Sorry. I didn't like the third book as much because I felt like the pacing was off, and I called a plot twist way earlier than I think I was supposed to. Like, clearly there was foreshadowing, it was foreshadowed, but it just took John way longer to figure it out than I would have liked. Um, so at the end of book two, it's revealed, like, he has a conversation with Foreman that reveals that, first of all, Foreman was looking for the guy that John killed last book. So it's established that there's, like, a network of demons that talk to each other. So, or, like, they innately know where each other are. So John uses Foreman's cell phone to, uh, take a call from another demon, and he's like, I'm the demon slayer and I'm gonna get you, come to Clayton, you coward. And it's just it's so 16-year-old boy. It's really funny. Ow, I smiled too wide. um so he book three starts, and he knows that nobody, as he's taken to calling the demon, is gonna come to town. And there's two killers in the book. There's the handyman, and then there's nobody. For most of the book, John believes that nobody is the handyman, though there is some confusion because he talked to a woman on the phone and the handyman is a man. But it's revealed that the handyman is just a human killer who is like has psychosis and is uncomprehending of reality and believes that he is cleansing the world of sinners. John does nearly kill him and then is like, ugh, you're human, I can't. Which is pretty funny and is a pretty important moment for his whole, like, I'm not gonna kill people arc that he has. But then it's revealed that nobody is one of those sludgy demons that he's been killing. And it keeps taking on the form of girls, or keeps invading girls' bodies, and then trigger warning for suicide. I will add a trigger warning in the description and in the top comment. I realized that I should have added one earlier. The demon gets into a girl's body and then begins to hate her because it hates itself, and then makes its host kill herself. I think that there's a there are right ways to deal with suicide in media, and I think that this was not the most sympathetic or the most realistic or the most good way to do it. Though I did like the series and I do enjoy parts of this book, I do think that that was a choice that was made by Dan Wells, and I don't know if Dan Wells making the choice to have these teenage girls continually, like, on a cycle kill themselves. I don't know if that was the right choice, man. I feel like I wish I'd been warned about it. I mean, I know it's a book about a guy with sociopathy, but coherent trigger warnings and accurate trigger warnings are important, and I truly believe that. So finally, like 80% of the way into the book, after John has been hunting and like making a profile of the handyman with his like new friend Marcy, who he ends up like kind of dating, and there's this bit where I don't really know how I feel about it. I feel like I would need to marinate on it, and I don't want to marinate right now. I've done enough marinating. I've been laying around for the past like 7 days. Where this character Marcy, who in prior books was referred to as like the hot girl, I do like that she's revealed to have like this depth. Like she has like these complex emotions and feelings. She's not like just the hot girl stereotype. But in talking with her, it's like she's like, "You know what, John, like you treat me right. You don't stare at me, you don't make me an object. I really appreciate the way that you act." And it's like, what does it say about our society that a sociopathic 60-year-old boy is like the best option? Whatever. I did appreciate that part because I do feel like it did do service to the interiority of teenage girls. And I was a teenage girl for a second before I was like, wrong one. But I don't know. It kind of leads into the whole topic of like these girls killing themselves. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like there's a I don't think there's a perfect way to do it, but I don't know. I don't know. That's I wish I had a more coherent point to say on that, but it, it is what it is. But in his quest to find nobody, John realizes that nobody is the one killing the girls. It's not them, but he cannot save Marcy, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that it felt like she had to die by the narrative standards, and I did not enjoy the ending because the ending is the handyman has been caught. John is going after nobody, and he realizes that every time, like right before the girl would, she'd say, "I wish I could be character." Um, One of the early victims, Rachel, said, "I wish I could be you, Marcy." Marcy says, "I wish I could be Brooke sometimes." And then Brooke, the love interest from like the first two books, nobody gets into her. Sorry, I thought I had a text message. So John tries to burn her alive in his car because he's like, "I have to kill this demon, even if it includes killing this girl." And he does manage to excise the demon from her, nearly killing her, but not quite doing so. And the demon tries to get into his body, but then his mom turns up. And throughout the books, he and his mom have had like a rocky relationship where like she's trying to be a good mother, but sometimes she's too overbearing and sometimes she doesn't understand what he's going through, but ultimately she is like a loving mother. And in a moment that I don't like, she sacrifices herself because she says, "Nobody loves John like I do. If you go into his body, you'll only hate yourself more." And then nobody goes into her body, and then she dies. I don't remember quite how she was killed. I kind of like stopped processing. I was like, "Oh, that kind of sucks as a twist," because I really hate the dead mom trope, and I also feel like it was not necessary for all of these women to die for the main male character. Like, not to boil this down to an issue of like women versus men, because I do think that there are things to say about it, and there are things that could be said, but I don't know if they're actually applicable here or if I just don't like the plot twist. I don't want to call Dan Wells sexist. I don't think he's sexist. But I don't know. It was just a twist that I felt weird about. And so then John is like alone, and now he is gonna have to mortuary with his sister and his aunt, but not his mom anymore. And I felt like it was just, I don't want to call it hacked, but yeah, come on, man, really. And those are the three books I read. I don't have access to the next three yet. I might read them. I might make a video about this, but to sum up my feelings about it, I feel like it's a fun series, if not a good one. I don't know how good it is. As said, I don't really want to judge the quality on a like textual sense. I just know that I had a lot of fun reading it. And I don't know. I find these perspectives that you wouldn't often consider very interesting, and I feel like in comparison to the way that the Dexter TV show kind of flinches away from making Dexter immoral despite the serial killer thing. Like, if that the show flinches away from Dexter making hard choices, like spoilers, taking away his choice on whether to kill Dokes. Like that was a hard choice. It would have been more interesting if he had to see him make a decision. But the fact that Lila just like burnt him is just like, yeah, crazy Lila. Come on, man. I feel like there was a better way to do that. Don't know what's gonna happen in the books because, as said, I haven't gotten there. But I feel like in recent years, with not to compare, I am not a serial killer to like Lightlark or Akabath, but or like Akatar, but I feel like there's been an uptick in like villain romances, in like especially YA slash like romantasy that is called YA but is really aimed at like more adult women. I feel like there's been an uptick in the like bad boy, but like he's actually bad, but then he's like not actually bad, like a man just dangerous enough for you to be comfortable with. And I don't want to like ascribe an entire trend because I'm one guy who is just watches booktube and reads a lot, but I feel like there has been an uptick in like this bad boy who actually isn't so bad, or like it's okay that he's bad because he's mine. I feel like John Cleaver is a really funny person to pit against those. I'm specifically thinking about Lightlark because Lightlark lives in my brain rent free. But in a lot of Alex Astor, in a lot of Alex Astor's TikToks, she talks about like it's a villain heroine romance. It here's what the villain says to the heroine, and like she's talking about Grimshaw Malvere. Grim is gonna win the love triangle. There's just no contest. Like it is about that hot. I'm living in my parents' house. I'm not gonna say that phrase. It's about that dark shadow daddy. I'll say that one. I'll say that phrase. But they want the guy that's dark, but not to her. And I feel like it's really funny to think about John Cleaver and Grimshaw Malvere, not his canonical last name. I extrapolated that from the book, in the same room, because you have this 16-year-old who women like because he is actively trying not to look at them because he doesn't want to kill them, and then you have Grimshaw Malvere who is a bad guy, like very much did violate Isla's consent. He did like take her memories, and like their first meeting was incredibly dubious, and like he did marry her without her consent, like put a necklace that she can't remove around her neck. Like he did a lot of bad things, but those things aren't really presented as bad within the narrative. He's just called a villain because he's part of Nightshade, which is the bad guys. And because this is off the cuff and I haven't had time to marinate, I don't have much more to say than rather than just like it's really really funny to take this character who's like an actual bad person who actually actively like is doing things that are like morally dubious and recognized as such by the narrative, and he's like, I'm not a good person, versus like Grimshaw Malvere who's like, I'm so dark, I'm so edgy, Isla, let me marry you, and then there's no option for divorce. It's really really funny to imagine them in the same like support group or something. I think that we should put all of the like love interests from like Fourth Wing, Akatar, Lightlark, other romanticities. I think we should put them all in like a support group for like guys that really need to chill out about their girlfriend and realize that they're a little bit messed up. I think that'd be really funny. Final thoughts. I liked this book series until the third book. I might read the rest. Thank you for watching. This is my outro now. Check out my Ko-fi. It's going to be linked in the description. I do commissions. I'm considering opening writing commissions, but I haven't done that yet. My commissions are reasonably priced for the market. Please, I am a college student and the job market here sucks. Please buy a commission. I would really appreciate it. It will be done very quickly. Unless it's one of the larger ones. The $15 ones are going to be like pretty quick, like that's gonna be within a day or two. The larger ones with more characters and more complex backgrounds are gonna take longer, but they will be to you quickly because I work fast. That's my guarantee. that's pretty much it. Like, subscribe, whatever. See you next time.